Time now for Vikings Fan Line on the Minnesota Vikings Radio Network. Your chance to talk about today's game with the Vikings broadcast team. Add to the conversation on Vikings Fan Line by calling 651-989-KFAN or toll free 1-800-320-5326. Now it's your reaction to all the action. Vikings Fan Line. Here's KFAN's Ron Johnson and Cory Cove.
That was gross. An embarrassing 19-17 win over the Detroit Lions. A lot of Vikings fans pissed about the win. I think a lot of people that are anti-Zimmer wanted the ship to go down in flames today, and it almost did. Dan Campbell goes for 2, as he should have. They get the 17-16 lead, but somehow with a couple of timeouts and a wing and a prayer, the Kirk Cousins-led Vikings get down the field, and Greg Joseph redeems himself and nails a long field goal to walk off. 19-17 winners. We got lots to talk about because there's people that are pissed despite the win. I'm Cory Cove. This is Minnesota Vikings Fan Line. Ron Johnson will join in a little bit at 651-989-5326 or 1-800-320-5326. You can join as well. But let's go to U.S. Bank Stadium. Greg Coleman is on the field and walking around looking for players to talk to. Hi, Greg.
Well, I've got one of those players, DJ Wanham, who had a very active game today. 3 or 4 tackles, a big sack. DJ, a win is a win. I don't care how you cut it.
Right, man. We fought hard. We fought to the end. 60 minutes. We knew it was gonna come down to the end of the game, and we kept fighting, and we put it up.
What is it, about this Mike Zimmer defense? You bend but you don't break, but you also had an opportunity to put them away early.
Right. You know what I'm saying? We came together, at the end, we had to fight. We had to keep fighting and keep going because, at the end of the day, we're a defense. We gotta play for each other. So, at the end we came through and just kept going.
Talking about playing for each other, you had Anthony Barr back. How big a boost was it for that defense?
Oh, man, a great boost, man. He's like an end at linebacker, big body. He can do it all, and he's like the brains of it. So just having him back was a great thing.
DJ, next week it doesn't get any easier. You've got you go to Carolina on the road in a hostile environment. Mindset going in there.
Oh, man, just keep fighting, keep going, man. We're going to come in. They got a great team, man. We're going to come in Wednesday, put together a plan, and go out there and execute, man.
DJ, thanks for your time.
Yes, sir. I appreciate you.
That's DJ Wanham, guys, who had a outstanding game here against these Detroit Lions, a team, Cory, that everybody says that we should have put them away a long time ago, but there's nothing easy in the National Football League. Those guys get paid to win as well. Obviously, we look at it a different way because we know what's in this locker room. We know what's on the offense. We know what's on defense. But yet and still, week in and week out, we don't have that killer mindset, that shark mindset to put a team away.
And, Greg, I'm not going to put you in a bad spot because I know you got to interview Zim all the time, and the callers are going to rip the hell out of him for the next 2 hours, so I'm not going to make you do it. But you're just talking about that killer instinct, and I think that's the frustration, right? Is 41 seconds left and 2 timeouts in the first half, and we have a coaching staff that is just so passive. I love the Dan Campbell going for 2 at the end because that's aggressive and it's mathematically the right thing to do. I just think we have a coaching staff that is so playing to not lose as opposed to going for the kill shot and going for the win. And that first half, 2 timeout, 41 second, basically kneel down is a perfect example. Well, it's just frustrating everybody.
That was a head scratcher because obviously that, Justin Jefferson is eating them alive. Anthony Barr is back. Hey, man, come here real quick. I know you talked to Ben Lieber.
What's going on?
This win, how big was it for this football team?
Obviously huge being a division game. It should never been that close, for being honest. But, hey, you got to figure out how to, different ways to win, I guess.
And that's what I want to ask you about. The killer instinct, that shark mindset where you got to put a team away. What is it going to take for it to permeate through this entire locker room?
Yeah, I think we just made a few too many mistakes in terms of penalties. I think hurt us today. Field position, kickoff return. I think we struggled there a little bit. And then at the end, defense. We had to figure out a way to not let that happen. Even with the sudden change, even with the turnover late, we should be better than that. So we're fortunate to get away with this one. But going forward, we got to tighten up and not getting those first and long, second and long situations, and then just put them away on defense when we get the opportunity. Because we played good on defense, most of the game up until kind of the last minute and a half there, and things just kind of got away. But figured out a way to win. We'll take it on to the next.
Absolutely. Thanks for your time, AB.
All right, thank you.
And Sheldon Richardson just walked by and talked about, we got to find some more witches brew, finding a way to win. And not only one side of the ball, but both sides of the ball, all three phases. I think special teams held up, with the exception, AB mentioned, some questionable decisions on kickoff return. But all in all, a win is a win. But to develop and have and find and keep that killer instinct is something that we haven't seen just yet.
Hey, Greg, let me ask you this before we let you go here. Because, again, we can talk offense and defense with the callers. The Greg Joseph walk-up, obviously, that was awesome, right? He hit another long one earlier in the game. The dude's got a big leg. I think we know that. But how do you come up short from 49, right? I think fans can live with wide right, wide left once in a while. But, man, a pro kicker that didn't have the ball tipped and was short from 49 seemed very strange to me.
A lot of times when you overstride, when you see many, many rotations, when you see that ball spinning, that means that you got your plant leg a little bit too close. That way you got up under the ball. Without question, he has the ability in the leg, because you saw with the 55-yard. It was just a minor tweak. He corrected that. Thank God he did, because he hit the 55 to give us the win. But that's what happens. When you see a ball, on a field goal and an extra point with many, many, many rotations, that means that that plant foot is so close, and you get those, that spinning motion, and that's how it happened. But again, he is just as cool as the other side of the pillow, came back, made the adjustment, and was a big win for the Minnesota Vikings.
Yeah, bailed Alexander Madison out, and maybe really bailed Mike Zimmer out. We'll maybe never know. Greg, thanks for your time, man. Good job today.
All right, baby.
All right, Ron Johnson will join next. This is Minnesota Vikings fan line. Phone lines are full. Everybody's pissed. Everybody's frustrated. Despite the 1917 win over the Lions, Vikings are 2-3. The Lions are 0-5. They were 10-point underdogs. They had us on the ropes, 17-16 with like 30 seconds to go. We'll take your phone calls and react to the weird win at 651-989-5326 or 1-800-320-5326 after this. This is Minnesota Vikings football.
The Vikings postgame conversation continues tomorrow on my show. It's Paul Allen, weekdays 9 to noon on FM 100.3 KFAN.
.54-yard try left hash. Snap. Spot. Joseph. Excellent leg. Get up there. And yes! It is good! And the Minnesota Vikings have defeated the Detroit Lions 19-17. Greg Joseph, you're the man!
Welcome back to Minnesota Vikings fan line. I think a lot of you saw it on social media. There were a lot of people when Detroit took that lead 17-16, just flat out asking the question, is it just better to lose and blow this thing up? That's how frustrating it was watching this game today from an aggression standpoint, from a game theory standpoint. Just weird decisions by both coaches, actually. That 4th and 4 punt, essentially, by Dan Campbell made no sense to me, where he took the delay of game on purpose. That was super cowardly. I didn't understand that at all either. So both coaches were just so passive right up until the end when Dan Campbell went for 2. Long story longer, I just don't get it, man. I don't understand what our coaching staff's doing. I think a lot of Vikings fans are feeling the exact same way, and why not hear from a handful of them right now, like David in Minneapolis. Hi, David.
Hey, good afternoon. First of all, just looking at this game today, it was so frustrating in so many different ways. I wish, regardless of who the offensive coordinator is, under Mike Zimmer, those teams need to understand the difference between, like, if you're aggressive, that doesn't mean you have to be careless with the ball. If you're just kind of going through the motions, like the end of this first half, where they have timeouts, right? Madison gets rocked in coming through the hole. In the second half, same thing. They're kind of going through the motions, like to run out the game. They turn the ball over. You're going to end up with injuries or turnovers, like doing that kind of stuff and not being aggressive. And then I can't wait for the bye, because if I have to watch Breland one more week, like consecutive week, I think I'm going to lose my mind. And then the last thing is Amir Abdullah. You're one of the all-time greats in the Big Ten returning kicks. But don't catch the ball along the sidelines and try to tap dance to try to keep inbounds inside the 20. Stick a foot out of bounds, take it on the 35, 2 consecutive times.
Yeah, he caught it on the 3-yard line that one time. That was ridiculous. Just let the ball bounce out of bounds. David, thanks for the call. See, again, it's not just about the 41 seconds and 2 timeouts and then basically just handing the ball off and running the clock out and going to halftime. How many times are we going to see 3rd and 12 or 3rd and 14 and we see a 5-yard pass, or 2nd and 12 and we hand it off up the middle? It's predictable. Even at the end, talk about aggression. This team continues to coach as if what if the worst thing happens? We can't let that happen. We have to be safer than that. Well, Alexander Madison fumbled and you thought that was the safe play. It's 3rd and 7. If you get the first down, the game's over. But you did the most predictable thing ever and handed off, and the Lions were all over it. They stripped the ball, which is the worst case scenario. But if you do a play action there and get the first down on the pass, yeah, you're risking the clock stopping, but trust Kirk. Trust your team. Get that first down, and the game is over. This team never goes for the kill shot. They're always just hoping the other team finds a way to lose instead of just finding a way to end it. It's just super stupid. Keith from Alexandria. Hi, Keith.
Oh, I totally agree. I think that the leaving the time on the clock at the end of the game, at the end of the first half, all that did is show the players you don't trust them to do their job. And the play calling was absolutely obnoxious. I could call a better game than that.
Well, I totally agree. It's just getting out of control. And again, I don't know what Clint Kubiak's identity is 5 games in. I don't know what he's doing, but I mean, Kirk's numbers through the first, 3.5, 4 games were pretty solid. I guess he had a decent game today, but wasn't very explosive. At the end of the day, the box score looked okay for Kirk, but man, outside of just rocking with Jefferson in the first half, again, another second half where the Vikings can't move the ball and can't get the ball in the end zone. Just don't get it. Joel from Matamidi. Hi, Joel.
How you doing, Cory?
Good.
Yeah, I don't know. All I can think about is the bit that Common plays. You mess around with bad football teams, bad things happen. And, you know what I mean? 2 possessions late in the fourth quarter, and we're just wanting to run the clock out. We're scared to win the game. Kirk's the highest paid player on our team. We're scared to put it in his hands. Why let that team come back into that game?
Yeah, well, Joel, let me ask you. I should have asked the first 3 or 4 callers this as well. When they went up 17-16, were you hoping they would lose, or did you want them to find a way to win?
I'm ready for it to be over. I don't see this team going anywhere past a wild card playoff berth and getting knocked in the first round like it's been since Kirk took over here. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but I'm asking more specifically about Zim. Are you ready for a regime change or not?
Yeah. Zim thinks his defense is something that it ain't. Zim's defense ain't a Zim defense.
Right.
It's vaunted around the league, and PA always talks about, Zimmer's defense this and Zimmer's defense that. Zimmer's defense isn't good enough to just run the ball anymore.
Yeah, thanks for the call. I want somebody that has a little gamble to him and aggression. Not just wait back and hope your team finds a way to win. I want somebody more aggressive, and that almost always that means going way, 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 way younger. Almost always. Richard from Brooklyn Center. Hi, Richard.
Hey, yeah, you guys are hitting the nail right on the head. I think what Zimmer against the Browns, didn't we go for it on the 4th and 6 or something? Which is very un-Zimmer-like. And we didn't get it. And the next thing you know, now he's starting to kind of get afraid again, like you guys are saying. I think we need to take some shots, the fade routes to the Justin Jefferson stealing. It worked against the Browns. I don't see why we're not doing it more. But no, I got hope. I bleed purple. I'm a diehard. I got hope. If we go out to Carolina and put 2, defense, offense together, we can do it. But I don't know. It's frustrating. I think we need to take some shots.
Yeah, thanks for the call. After those first 2 losses, there were all those national pundits saying the Vikings might be the best 0-2 team in the league. Now it's the opposite. Now I think they may be the worst 2-3 team in the league. I don't know how they're even winning. This is the classic example. They could be 5-0, or they definitely could be 0-5. Man, they're just skinning by. Just by an inch. 651-989-5326 or 1-800-320-5326. Ron Johnson has 57 other jobs. Eventually he'll be done with the other one and he can join this. This is Minnesota Vikings football.
Your home for all things purple.
Galvin 10-5.
100.3 KFAN, The Fan.
Second and 18 from the Vikings 31. Goff looks right. Now he's hit again, and he's sacked again, and the ball bounced out, and the ball bounced into the arms of the Minnesota Vikings. The Vikings turn over the Detroit Lions with 54 seconds to go in the first quarter. Goff goes out of the shotgun, puts the fullback Kabenda in motion, passes over the middle, intercepted! Here comes Eric Kendricks, near side of the 20, 25, 30. EK to the 35, and that's where he's captured and stopped. The Vikings have turned over the Lions 2 times.
Welcome back to Minnesota Vikings Fan Line. They find a way to win with a last-second field goal by Greg Joseph. The Vikings win 19-17. Nordo's hanging out with me right now. Hi, Nordo.
How you doing, man?
Good. We're waiting for Ron Johnson, so why not jump in?
Oh, sweet.
You and I were just talking off air, right? A field goal potentially saved Mike Zimmer's job, right?
It
If
does.
they lose to the 0-5, now 0-5 Lions as 10-point favorites, you have to seriously consider firing Zimmer. And what I just said to you right before we got back on the air is if you're in year 8, which I couldn't believe it was 8, I thought it was like 6 or 7. If we're in year 8 and you are a last-second field goal away from getting fired, if you're that close, if you're hanging on the edge that much, then we just have the wrong guy. We just need a regime change.
100% in that regard, only because, I mean, and we've kind of heard rumblings about it. Oh, should we listen to Kirk?
Let's go to Kirk first, and you can finish that thought.
It's a lot easier coming in tomorrow after a win to correct those things than after a tough loss. So, proud of the way we fought. Thought our defense did a great job all game long, and just glad we won. Take any questions you have.
You had a moment after the game with Mike Zimmer. What was that about?
I was just celebrating with him. I was just fired up.
Take us through the drive that led to the winning field goal there.
It was really only 2 plays. So, 2 quick plays, great protection. Adam did a great job finding a soft spot in the zone, and, Greg made a tremendous kick. So, it was just kind of quick and came down to making that kick, and he made it.
Whatever Justin say, you guys work on the 2-minute drill every day. What is your confidence level coming onto the field with like 30 seconds left, knowing you need to go 60 yards?
I've always played this game one play at a time, and regardless of the situation, you just think through how many timeouts do we have, how many yards do we need, how much clock do we have, what's the play call, what's my read, and you just kind of systematically go through it, regardless of the situation.
Are you thinking, like before the drive even starts, that your target line is the 35-yard line and then sort of work backwards from there? We need this amount of yards, this amount of yards.
Well, beggars can't be choosers, so you're going to get what you can get and, get down as far as you can. But with the situation with the clock and timeouts and the yards we needed, you just know you need a productive first play and go from there.
Kirk, with the confidence you guys have in the 2-minute, the way you march down, do you wish you'd gotten a chance to do the same thing at the end of the first half there when you got 2 timeouts?
I mean, coaches are going to decide what to do, and we're going to go with it. And, we trust them, and that's their call.
Kirk, Greg Joseph has both made and missed a couple of crucial kicks already this year, and then today gets carried off the field on the shoulder of his teammates. What's it like to see a guy like that that's had ups and downs get a high like it is today?
I think we've all had them. I think if you play in this league long enough, you're gonna live the highs and you're gonna live through some lows. And I just believe that tough times don't last, tough people do. And Greg's a tough person.
And Kirk, you were having a lot of success with Justin in the first half. Did they adjust anything in the second half that made it harder to kind of move the ball as much?
They played a lot of 2 deep and clouded Justin, so it's essentially double coverage. Several times where Alex Madison got the ball, C.J. Ham got the ball. Justin's the design, but they take
All right,
him
so
away.
that's basically the gist of it. Kirk Cousins at the podium following the 1917 win. You were saying about
he sounds
Mike
like
Zimmer.
he lost. Doesn't Kirk sound like he lost?
That's how it feels to everyone. Again, this isn't like, woo, or like we won. It's more like, God, what a disaster.
What a terrible game.
It was a terrible game.
If the Vikings if they don't make the playoffs this year, it has kind of been the vibe, and I'm certainly not unique in this idea that Zimmer may not be retained. But now the way that the season has started, and even through today, anything short of a massive double-digit victory, dominant performance of the defense, figuring out third and long situations, figuring out, just conjuring up, dreaming of the opportunity of starting a defensive run game where you're not allowing 8-9 yards in chunks on early downs, allowing this awful Detroit Lions offense to stay alive, move, in some ways, even though in a lot of cases punting, you're still flipping the field and those sorts of things, just defensively pulling that together. And then offensively, you haven't scored a touchdown as an offense in the second half since there was 9:23 left in the fourth quarter when Dalvin Cook got into the end zone against Cincinnati week 1. How bad is that?
Oof.
And as a massive favorite today, you get out with a victory, and that's awesome. You went 2 of 3 in this 3-game home stretch. That's great. But all things considered, today was an abject failure on many levels. The play calling, Kirk was just asked about what the hell they did there at the end of the first half. Nobody knows, but he mentioned the coach's decisions and all of those things. You have the fumble by Madison, the over-conservative nature, not taking shots offensively.
But you just nailed it, though, Nordo. Don't you think the fire is not, for the first time in his tenure here, the fire is not aimed at Cousins? Like, all of the fans' fire right now is aimed at the coaching staff.
Yeah, and I think,
all of it.
And you know, Zimmer's going to be the patriarch. He's the head of that particular group. And so he's going to feel that. And I think through 5 games now at 2-3, I think that's justified.
Yeah.
And you look at, just, again, defensive lapses, the play calling structure. Clint Kubiak needs to get better in a hurry and figure that out and evolve and all of those things. But with the expectations, the talent on this team, 8 years into a regime, the every single game, every single moment hanging by a thread. That's what it feels like to me.
I heard your guys Sauce in the pregame say this is basically the Bowling Green game for the Gophers, right? Yeah. Where it's like there's no win for the Vikings here, whether you, like you just referenced, whether you win by 30 or not or lose. There's just no good win here, right? The other reason why I think that analogy works, and Sauce nailed it, is, man, didn't it feel like today, much like the Gophers against Bowling Green, where it just felt like, oh, we're just going to run the ball and that'll be enough to win? It just felt like, well, we don't have Dalvin Cook, so we'll just run it a little bit. We'll throw it to Jefferson, and that should be enough. It just seemed like they had a very standard, basic, top-level game plan, and they were like, if that doesn't work, I don't know what we're going to do. It just seemed like there was no plan B.
Absolutely, and Greg Joseph punches through that 55-yarder. Then he leaves the 49-yarder short.
That was strange.
And that was tough to deal with and watch in the moment. But you're still thinking, even at that stage, double-digit advantage at that point, you're still going to get out, or you got to keep them out of the end zone. And then you have the flub by Madison, all of those things. But the 2 turnovers you get today, trying to pay those things off, you don't. Again, just the impotence on offense for the most part now for 2 games in full. It's just a massive problem. And so Meat Sauce hit it on that. Meat Sauce is a soothsayer.
Yeah.
This was a Bowling Green game. Thankfully, for those that still have high hopes and want to watch the team and hope that they win every game, myself included, thankfully, Greg Joseph was pure from 54. But what a disastrous game.
Yep.
And it was brutal to watch in person. The moans and groans from the fan base in U.S. Bank Stadium throughout was palpable. The tension was there.
Those boos leaked through. We heard it almost every time they ran it on third down, or those little 5-yard passes on third and long. You could hear it bleeding through the TV. That was bad. Nordo, thanks for killing some time, man. I'll listen to you on overtime.
Good to see you.
651-989-5326 or 1-800-320-5326. Ron Johnson will join next down from TCO. I'm Cory Cove, and this is Minnesota Vikings Fan Line, and this is the KFAN Minnesota Vikings Radio Network, driven by Polaris.
We talk football.
Live for this!
This is The Fan.
Cousins, empty backfield, shotgun, fakes a handoff to Amir Abdullah, passes, ball bounces and is bounding in the air, and it's picked off now by the Detroit Lions, Alex Anzalone. Holy cow, you get that 48-yard run by Madison, you're threatening in a one-score game, and then the ball bounces up in the air, it's picked off by Anzalone, and now the Lions have it. It's 3rd and 7 from their own 21. Handoff Madison, left side, slowed at the line of scrimmage, staying inbounds. Lions have no timeouts, and it's no game. Wait, a Lion came out of the pile with the ball. There is no signal on the field. Lions ball at the Vikings 12. Well, what is happening? Ben, you're right next to it. What's up?
Well, his back was to me when at the end of the play.
Oh my God!
Looks like a fumble. He ripped it.
Wow! You got to be kidding me!
I believe that ball is out.
It was out by a mile, and the Lions punch it in a couple of plays later. They went for the 2-point conversion. They took the lead 17-16, but the Vikings find a way to get down the field quickly and kick a field goal at the buzzer to win 19-17. Ron Johnson joins me now. Hi, Ron.
How's it going, Corey?
I'm okay. I think Zimmer's probably wiping some sweat off of his brow today. Do you believe that field goal saved his job?
Yeah, 100%, because everybody was saying this is Zimmer's, or not everybody. I saw a couple of tweets saying Zimmer has 37 seconds left as the Vikings head coach, as if, this is over. Kirk's not going to do it. And then Kirk, has 2 big throws, and the kicker that missed right before that, or previous kick, makes it 54 yards, which never happens in the Vikings' favor. Those are the games where that kick always does something weird, sails left, sails right, hits short, hits off the crossbar, whatever. And it worked out in his favor. So, again, it wasn't pretty, but it was a win. And so now that saved them. And then if next week they can beat the Panthers and have no issues with that game, I think 3-3 going into the bye week for sure kind of calms everybody down.
A lot of people pointing the finger at Zim. How much, Ron, do you, as a former wide receiver, a guy that played on offense, how much of the blame do you put on Clint Kubiak through 5 games?
Well, this is the problem. I can't put too much blame because we don't know where his and I'm not gonna say leash. I hate that term, but we don't know where he's been given full autonomy. Is it like, hey, Zim's asking you to do? Because we know Zim, and hey, I want you to run the ball. I want you to do this. We know when that hasn't happened, like with DiFilippo, he'll fire you. And so we don't know what that offensive play sheet or conversation with Zim going into the week, as far as drawing up the plays for the week. If Zim's letting him go and that's on him and fully on him, then yes, I say he has to stop being so tight with it. Unleash, as people would say, unleash Kirk, let him roll out a little bit more, let him create a little bit more. If it is Zimmer, then you can't put it on Clint, because maybe Zimmer's saying, hey, I don't want you doing this. I don't want Kirk throwing the ball too much. I want to make sure we're still running the ball. That we'll never know, because I don't think that's a question Zimmer will ever answer.
Right, and questions like, 41 seconds, 2 timeouts right before the end of the first half. That's on Zimmer, right? I don't care which play Kubiak's calling. That's a head coach decision to say, just run the ball, run out the clock. We get the ball to start the second half. Forget it. And that kind of passive garbage is what everybody's tired of.
Yeah, well, he said in his presser, though, he said our plan was to attack, but we wanted to run the ball first,
but come on, man.
See how many yards we're going to get. And then if we get 7, 8 positive yards, then let's keep going. If we don't get anything, then yeah, let's just take it to the half.
How about all the teams, Ron? How about all the teams like Arizona, I believe? Like, how about all the teams that have put up a lot of points against the Vikings in those final, 90 seconds of the first half?
The Vikings' 2-minute offense and defense in the last 2 minutes are the worst. The Vikings are giving up 7 yards per play before this game in the last 2 minutes of the game. And the Vikings have had the most plays, meaning they're always trying to come back in that last 2 minutes. But I agree. No, so that's the thing. I'm just going off what Zimmer said. Now, devil's advocate would be, yes, come out. First play should be a throw down the field like you did to try to win this game. Run those same plays in the end of the second half. Run a deep over with Adam Thielen. Run a deep cross with Justin Jefferson. Yes, let Kirk attack at the end of a half, because I think his mindset is momentum. We don't want to have a turnover at the end of the second half. But then the same thing with momentum. If you get stopped on 2 runs and then you're just going to take a knee, you're still losing momentum, and everybody's going to boo you into the locker room.
Right, but see, that's exactly the kind of passiveness I'm talking about. Because I think what you just said is exactly his mentality. I don't want the worst thing possible to happen. So how about, instead of hoping that the worst thing doesn't happen, why not just try for the best possible thing, which is a touchdown before halftime, and then you get the ball back? But what he does is he basically just throws the white flag up. It's so freaking frustrating to just quit, because to your point, Ron, I would argue against almost every team in the league, unless there's Patrick Mahomes or something on the other side of the field, yeah, you can run a couple of pass plays, and if the clock stops, it's not the end of the world, right? If you give somebody the ball back with 10 or 20 seconds left, again, unless it's Mahomes. You got freaking Jared Goff on the other side. If you at least run the clock or waste at least one timeout, I don't remember how many timeouts Detroit had. If you can get at least one first down, I mean, you got to at least try. Goff's not going to move the ball down the field.
Right.
What are you doing? It just drives me nuts. That's why I just think that at some point the Vikings fan base is just going to be tired of 1982 football mentality. It's just getting old and boring.
Right, and I agree. I mean, I would even say, run some kind of 3-receiver set to the right, make them think it's going to be Hail Mary right, and then put, Justin Jefferson on the left or somebody that they're not expecting on the left, and then run him on a deep go where it's just a 50-50 ball. If it's an interception, it's still like a punt. You're putting him on the other side of the 50. If it's if he catches it or gets pass interference, now you do move the ball. So yeah, no, I agree. There has to be some aggression there. At 2-3 now, there's no need to kind of, try to win these games with clock management and being conservative. They have to allow. We know Kirk Cousins can get it done because he did it today. So let him do that throughout the game. Let him do that, like you're saying, at the end of the half, like Arizona did to the Vikings. So, yeah.
Yep. Phone calls in a second, but first, let's pause 10 seconds for station identification. This is Minnesota Vikings football.
This is Minnesota's sports station. FM 100.3, KFXN, Minneapolis, St. Paul. The Fan. The sports leader.
All right, let's try the old phone lines here. Ron, let's see what we got. Zach, you're on Minnesota Vikings fan line. Hi, Zach.
Hey, how's it going?
Good. What do you think?
Yeah, Zim's getting a lot of heat, and I get it for the game management, but we hired him to be a defensive coordinator, defensive coach, and the scoreboard the last 2 weeks is for the other team that said 14 and 17. And I think at some point we just have to point to Kubiak, unless, like Ron said, we have a leash on Kubiak. But I guess we'll have to see what happens there. But
all right,
I think the offense just needs to step it up.
All right, thanks for the call. Well, I think you could argue, Ron, through the first couple of games, the offense was the only bright spot, right? The offense was doing their job. It was the defense that wasn't getting the job done. So just because they've had a couple of decent games, that's one thing. But again, I didn't see the Cleveland game because I was in Colorado last week. But I heard Baker Mayfield was just awful, right? And that if Baker was just average, that the Vikings would have been lit up and it wouldn't have been a 7-point game.
Yeah, again, like the Vikings defense, you're correct on that. Baker Mayfield was below average. The Vikings defense, for the most part, so let's stick with the defense part first. Third down defense has not been great for them in the first half of games. Definitely in the second quarter, they've struggled. I forgot the number, but I know they're one of the worst second quarter defenses. But in the first half alone on third down, they've given up almost 9 yards a play on third down. And so they're 31st in NFL there. And then if you look at the second half defense on third down, they've only allowed 5% of first downs or touchdowns on third down. So I don't know if it's that where they're trying to, the teams they're playing are kind of going conservative because they have the lead on the Vikings. I don't know what that is, but clearly whatever they're doing in the second half, they have to get going earlier. And you're right. The bright spot was the offense to start the year because Kirk was having one of the best starts of his career, 8 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. And then, this Browns game came and everybody's like, oh, here we go again. Kirk's what we thought he was, blah, blah. Now they come back and win this game. Again, it's the Lions. It took all of everything to get them to win this, but they did win.
Kenny from Los Angeles, California. Hi, Kenny.
Hey, guys. How you doing?
Good.
That's a very Vikings game, isn't it? We had for weeks we're like, we're losing close games, but we're such a good team, and then our team sucks, but we won. And you know why I think we won, Corey? This is for you.
Sure.
I think Kirk went to Zim and he said, "Hey, I know this guy missed a kick, but we need to pray." And he said, "Zim, pray with me."
Yeah.
Jesus, Mary, and Greg Joseph.
Okay.
And he made the kick. If it turns around the season, there you go. It could be from this one kick.
Fair enough. Thanks for the call, Kenny. Did you guys see Ron, did you see the weird celebration between Cousins and Zim after the game?
Yeah.
It's kind of going viral. Yeah, Kirk, when the kick goes through, Kirk kind of shakes Zim a little bit like, yeah, we won. And at first, Zim looks like he wants to punch him. And then he celebrates by pretty strongly pushing Kirk back. And then Patrick Peterson starts hugging Zim and all that kind of stuff. But for a second, there was a very awkward celebration between the two guys. Kind of funny, which is why it's going viral.
Yeah, I mean, there's one way to look at that. One, Kirk is comfortable enough to celebrate with Zim like that because I don't think that would have happened 2 years ago. And so maybe that shows their relationship, the time they're spending watching film. Like Zim said, Kirk's come to him, hey, can you watch film with me, coach, to help me out, show me what you're seeing defensively and what the team's going to try to do to me. Maybe that's showing their rapport now that they can have these little, jokes and because usually in the games it was always like Xavier Rhodes or Everson Griffin or somebody like that over there, like Patrick Peterson celebrating with them. Now for the quarterback, that has that feel of Peyton, Tony Dungy, of Tom Brady and Belichick. Like there is a level of respect being earned through the meetings, and maybe the relationship's a little bit better.
Maybe. I don't know. It may have been. Maybe Kirk walked up to him and before he shook him, just said basically, "I just saved your job, so quit being so mean."
Or
to
maybe
me.
he said, "You like that," and
right.
Zim pushed him and said,
Zim
"Tweet
pushed
that."
him. Exactly.
Yeah.
All right, more of your phone calls after this, but at this point, we're going to let the network go. You can continue to listen to Minnesota Vikings Fan Line on the iHeartRadio app. Just find KFAN on the iHeartRadio app. It's a free app. You can also listen to the Power 2 Morning Show on that app. 5:30 to 9, weekday mornings, things like that. But we're going to keep taking calls here locally in the Twin Cities at 651-989-5326 or 1-800-320-5326. Vikes win 19-17 over the Lions. We got another, hour or so to go, and then we'll toss it over to Minnesota Vikings overtime. This has been the KFAN Minnesota Vikings Radio Network, driven by Polaris.
Vikings Fan Line now continues on FM 100.3 KFAN and the Fan Radio Network. Vikings Fan Line on the Fan is presented by Comcast, Honda, Youngsteads, TimberTech, Carboni's Pizzeria, and by Shift Real Estate. To join in on the conversation on Fan Line, call 651-989-KFAN or 800-320-5326. Now it's your reaction to all the action. Vikings Fan Line. Along with Ron Johnson, here's KFAN's Cory Cove.
All right, welcome back to Minnesota Vikings Fan Line. Vikings win 19-17 over the Detroit Lions. The Lions and their crazy coach are 0-5. Hi, Ron.
How's it going, Court?
Their coach is crazy, but he did do the right thing. Going for two in that spot is absolutely the right play. I don't think our guy does that. I really don't. I don't think Zim's the kind of guy that goes for two there. I do like that Dan Campbell is willing to go for two there because you're supposed to. However, I can't believe that he didn't hand the ball off. I can't believe that the play was just to have Goff kind of go back and just panic, and then just chuck it.
Right.
It worked, but oh man, I just cannot believe that's what they got away with. But for a second there, I think a lot of Vikings nations thought that Dan Campbell gambled and was going to get all of the money.
Yeah, as soon as before it even happened, and Tatum, Everett, Vikings, VN employee, she can tell you. I said it. As soon as the fumble, I was like, you know what? They're going to score and go for two. And the minute I said that, I said, Corey's probably sitting there somewhere with his analytics calculator saying, if he doesn't go for two, he's an idiot.
Yeah, which he still is, but at least he's a coach that understands going for two is the right play there.
And we can get to that later.
Very excited about that.
I know you were.
Well, because it's the right thing to do. But
if they don't go for it and they lose, then what?
You're 0-5 anyway, right? I would argue you should go for two almost anyways, always in that spot. But definitely if you're 0-4 on the road and just got handed a gift by Alexander Madison, right? You're playing with house money.
Or the refs.
Definitely go. What do you mean the refs?
Forward progress was stopped on that.
For like a split second, he fumbled the ball.
If he squirts out of there, they're going to blow it dead and say he was done.
Well, I mean, that's so close. Just hold on to the ball there.
True. The ball is a program. PJ Fleck will tell you that.
Right, and that's a very subjective, is the forward progress stopped, right? It's almost like one of those instant replays that we're going to sit here and argue about for 30 minutes if you can't tell, was Dalvin's butt down like in game one? Right. Was Alexander Madison's forward progress stopped? It was very close, right? Whether they blew the whistle or not, who knows? But the ball was by a mile out. It was just whether or not they blew it before the ball came out. You want to take some calls, Ron? See what else people want to complain about?
Let's do it.
All right, let's try Ben from Blaine. Hi, Ben.
Hey, what's going on, guys?
Not much.
We are good.
Right on. Okay, so I think Zimmer is extremely conservative. I totally agree with Cory on his first lines, and there's no way that everyone thinks Anthony Barr is so good. Now Anthony Barr is actually such a good run stopper and this and that. I didn't see anything happen to Anthony Barr. Was he even on the field?
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? Like he's way overpaid and way overrated. And also in the second half, first half Justin Jefferson has 104 yards, and you don't even like throw to him in the second half. Like, again, to my first point of Zimmer being extremely conservative, like, how do you not, if we had Sean McVay or Kyle Shanahan or Andy Reid or a coach like that, like, it would be, that would have been a 37-7 win, you know, or something like that. Like,
Yep, totally agree. I think that's the frustration as well, 100%. And if you have Jefferson Ron Johnson that just lights up the first half and barely gets any play in the second half, I think the logical conclusion is, all right, they probably overcompensated for their mistakes in the first half. They defended Jefferson more tightly in the second half. But you would have thought that should have been advantage Adam Thielen, but they didn't get any production out of Thielen in the second half. So somehow they shut both of those guys down in half number 2.
Yeah, and let me go back to his point about Anthony Barr, though. And so if Vikings fans, after the game for that first 25, 30 minutes, go to Vikings socials, you can see the post-game breakdown. And we actually have film of that because they are allowed to do it because it's not on TV. So the film of the 3 sacks and then Eric Kendrick's interception, you can see points where Barr did impact the game. So the 3rd and 6, where they threw it short, Bashaud Breeland was able to make the tackle. If not for Anthony Barr being where he's supposed to be, which is in the A-gap, and then he jumps right back into the passing lane, Goff quickly has to come off of that throw because he was trying to do like a little RPO deal, throws it to the flat. The next one, same thing, RPO. They're right there. He has to throw it. The lane, there's nothing there, and it looks like a good throw, and then Kendricks comes out of nowhere. And so Barr is doing his job. Like, and Patterson brings this up a ton. We're asking Anthony Barr to do things that you guys have no idea about. So you can't sit up there and say, "Oh, I didn't see him make a sack tackle."
You definitely can.
You can't, because they didn't ask him to blitz. If you can't blitz, how can you get the quarterback? If you're not asked to blitz, you can't get the quarterback.
Here's why. He I don't know what it is about Anthony Barr. For whatever reason, he is the most defended like box score baby in the history of the NFL, right? If you ask people that watch film, Anthony Barr is a Hall of Famer. But I mean, honestly, they're like, he's killing everybody. It's like, but he never ends up in the box score, right? The best players in football, like Aaron Donald, gets quadruple teamed and still gets to the quarterback. Barr always gets defended. It doesn't matter how poorly or how well he plays. Everybody plays the card, well, you just don't understand football, or you're not watching the All-22. You're not seeing it like we see it. Everybody else that gets as much attention as Barr gets productive and gets production. I don't understand why he gets defended so crazily when he doesn't show up in the box score. He must have some like videotape on somebody or something.
He's not being asked to rush the passer yet, though. Like when he gets a chance to rush the passer, he's really good. But they're not doing it every time. Like again, like I said, in the A-gap today, he didn't actually go. Kendricks went. I think there was Mackenzie Alexander went with Kendricks, and Barr got out of there. So in time, they're going to get him back to going after the quarterback. But until then, if he's in the pass lane, if he's guarding the guy he's supposed to guard, if he's on the running back that's in the flat, if he's stopping the Texas route, he's doing his job. It's just like the ball's not coming there. You know, you look at cornerbacks that don't get a lot of PBUs. Well, they're not getting a lot of balls thrown their way.
Very different, though. That's very different.
It's the same thing. If he's a drop back in space linebacker, or they're not running his direction and they're going to run towards Nick Vigil, he can't make the tackle. But he's where he's supposed to be. He's shutting down his side of the field, and there's like, if he's just missing tackles and if guys are just throwing the ball over on top of him 15 times a game, then you can say, man, this guy's not doing anything. Like, what's going on? Why can't he cover? He's covering his guy, so they're not throwing it that way.
All right, we'll just let that narrative keep going. John from Woodbury. Hi, John.
Hey, how's it going?
Fine.
Good. So I just kind of want to touch on the whole Zim being passive thing and just say, you know, I really wish, I don't see any leaders on our team as far as, you know, Kirk or ownership or whoever. I don't know who's going to go to him and say, hey, we got to change this. Let's open up the book. It'd be nice if Kirk was like, hey, I'm comfortable. Let me save your job in this season. Open up the book for me and let's start hucking it.
Yeah, and Dan, thanks for the call. But here's how I'm actually going to defend Zimmer for a second, Ron Johnson. When you hire a head coach, you hire the coach to make those calls, right? The coach isn't looking to get babysat by a GM or an owner and go, well, do you want me to be more aggressive, less aggressive? You got to be you, right? If the owner says, I don't like this coach because I don't like his style, he's not aggressive enough, that's for an owner to decide. But the coach just has to be himself. So if somebody thinks Zim's being conservative because he's worried about his job, I would argue that he's been conservative for his entire run here, number one. But then number two, I would say if you are being too conservative and you feel like your job's on the line, that is the exact time to get aggressive, right? Be bold to show, look, I'm willing to take chances. I'm going to be aggressive. I'm going to try to win instead of just holding on, right? So I would think the desperation would lead to aggression.
Yeah. Yes. You know what? I'm gonna let you go there with that one.
All right.
I do agree. I mean, I see where you're going with it. The other take, and again, I'm not defending Kirk Cousins on this because I know I didn't agree with it completely, but I understand it. Kirk Cousins' mind on some of that is like, look, if we're too aggressive and we are turning the ball over too much, a la Jameis Winston, 30 touchdowns, 30 interceptions, then what's the narrative? Then you're going to say, okay, we're not doing what we're supposed to do. We're fitting the ball. We're trying too hard and we're having way too many turnovers and we're not letting our defense at least keep us close in games. Even though, like I said, this year the defense has not been what it's been in the past. But if that's been the recipe the past 6 years, it's kind of tough to all of a sudden say, all right, the defense isn't as good as we thought they'd be. All right, let's get aggressive now and just throw the crap out the ball. And Kirk, you go be Aaron Rodgers.
Yep. Vikes win 19-17. That's Ron Johnson. I'm Cory Cove. This is Minnesota Vikings Fan Line on KFAN and the Fan Radio. Welcome back to Minnesota Vikings Fan Line. 19-17 winners in a weird way over Detroit. Almost lost to an 0-5 squad, but no big deal. They find a way to win, and everybody's still frustrated. Ron Johnson's at TCO. Hi, Ron.
How's it going?
And Cy Amundsen's on the other side of the planet. Hi, Cy.
Hi, fellas. How are you doing?
We're hanging in there. It was a fun up and down roller coaster of emotion and frustration for about 3 hours.
Fun is an interesting word to use. I remember I was 16 years old and I was involved in this scavenger hunt, and we were on like the last leg of it. And you would find like these little packages, and whoever had collected the most won this prize, whatever. And it was on the other side of the fence, and there was another kid racing towards it, and I tried to leap the fence as a shortcut, and it worked, but I clipped my nuts so hard in the process that I remember just laying there with the package in my hand as the winner of the scavenger hunt, thinking this victory was not worth the process. And that is how I feel right now. Like, don't get me wrong, I love winning football games, but as just like a pure fan, that was a fence post in the nutsack.
Yeah, simultaneously painful and rewarding. Absolutely. Yeah, that's probably a pretty good analogy, Cy. Although I think,
are you sure it is?
I think it's pretty solid, and I think right now in the locker room at US Bank Stadium, I'm pretty sure Zimmer is comfortable with the nut tap.
Yeah, right, dude. By the way, I am genuinely excited we won, because I'm like Nordo. I want to continue to look forward to meaningful football. But you're right about that viral video of Kirk and Zim celebrating. It's one of the funniest things I've ever seen in my life. Like the moment they finished it, everybody around him had to be like, well, that's going to be just on all the Twitters for 3 years. Like, it's so great.
Yeah. So what do you think moving forward? They're 2-3. You got the Carolina Panthers next week. It's a different squad, right? They have found a different beast in Sam Darnold, and that defense apparently is legit in Carolina.
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing, and I'd be curious what Ron thinks about this, because I know nothing about football, but from an outsider's perspective, just a fan, like, it feels like our identity that, by the way, the play-by-play announcers continue to just crush each week. It feels like whenever we match up with somebody that is enthused about competing with our identity, like the Chicago Bears games every year, the Browns last week, like the Panthers love to play good defense and control the clock. Like those are the games that you want to see us starting to win, and it feels like we never win. And I don't know, Ron, am I off base, or is there something there where every time we face a team that's like, let's control the ball, be tough, and play defense, we seem to struggle in those.
Yeah, I mean, I think we've talked about this before. Like, the identity of the defense is supposed to be smash mouth, hard hitting. We haven't seen a ton of that, and then as far as the offense goes, honestly, I'm with you. I'm still waiting on the offensive identity. Early on, Adam Thielen said it, I think week 2 or 3, like, we still don't even know who we are. Coming up on week 6, I still don't really know. Like, you really just don't know. And part of it is maybe Dalvin Cook being hurt, not being 100% the last, 3 games. There's a lot into it. But at the end of the day, this might be the identity where it's just a team. Like, there's not like, hey, this is what they're great at, or this is what it's just, hey, this is the Vikings team, and let's just enjoy the roller coaster.
Well, and I think you got to have, there's going to be like, given the way this game ended, Corey, it's got to be the fork in the road, right? Like you said at the beginning of this program, like, it's almost undeniable the things that people are going to be loud about with the way this took place. Like, you have a top 10 quarterback who gets top 10 money. You don't take a shot at the end of the half. On 3rd and 4 on a crucial possession in the fourth quarter, you direct snap to a running back.
So dumb.
You don't run an extra. Yep. You don't run an extra play at the end of the game to get closer. So, I think you're at a fork there where it's like, are we gonna let this guy who's a top 10 quarterback, who's played with a top 10 quarterback, do the things that top 10 quarterbacks do, or are we going to get Dalvin back and lean into who we are? And then I think the other side of it is like, I don't know how you can not acknowledge what happened in this game, and that could go one of 2 ways. I've been in a bunch of basketball locker rooms, not football locker rooms, but there's, like, if I'm trying to shine a sunny side on today, there are culminating moments that send you one direction or another. So either this is like, we'll look back at those two shoving each other in celebration as a moment where everybody went, God, that was way too close. Somehow we rally from this moment. Somehow we go forward. Or you're just going to have different versions of this until it goes wrong. So, I don't know. It could go one of either ways.
It's the fork in the road, Cy, for sure. Cy, thanks for your time, man.
Hey, thank you. Goodbye.
Cy Amundsen. Ron, obviously when we're doing this show, Zimmer talks to Greg Coleman in the locker room, and then he goes on his way and he goes to the media. I don't get a chance to hear that because this show is starting, right? By the time Zim actually hits the podium. Yep. So I assume, I'm going to hope that somebody asked the right question. I don't know exactly what he said, if somebody and when somebody asked him about the end of the first half. Mm-hmm. But my guess is everybody hated his answer, right? Because I don't think there's a good defense for doing what he did. But we see that so often. So I'm just so curious to either hear it back or in the next couple of days when he's going to get asked, probably tomorrow, probably again on Wednesday, maybe. About why, with 41 seconds and 2 timeouts, why is that our mentality? And I know, look, they won the game, and this is about the 8th time I've brought that up, but that's where I just threw my hands up, and I'm like, this is a disaster. What are we doing? I'm so tired of watching this style of football. We need somebody that's willing to gun it, somebody that's willing to go. And I don't think, and I hope he doesn't play Dalvin wasn't in the game card, because Madison looked pretty good a couple of weeks ago. Was that Seattle, I think, maybe? Yeah. We've seen Alexander Madison be explosive. We all know he's a step down from Dalvin, but he's a capable running back. So you can't just play the Dalvin Cook card. You got to give me a better excuse. And my guess is if he answered that question, it probably left a lot of Vikings fans pretty underwhelmed. Yeah, I think the last part of that. So you look at the Alexander Madison. I think if Dalvin can't go, you have to keep going with him. You can't use the Dalvin is hurt as an excuse either. Like you're saying, you're right on with that too. Pete Bursis, I think, brought it up in the pregame. You get paid money to be RB2. So when it's your turn to go, they have to use you the same way they would use RB1, even if the speed's not there, but they still got to use you in the same manner. And, that's what is most concerning, I guess, is if they don't think they can get the same production out of Madison, but they're going to go with him, and Cook, like I said, that fluke JJ, Watt landing on the ankle type thing, Dalvin thinking he twisted it or something. It's just another fluky injury
that's going to be in the, kind of in the resume of Dalvin Cook of everybody bringing up, can he make it through an entire season? And so that's tough. Like, that's tough to even say because it's not something where it's a hamstring. Now it's just a ankle got rolled up on. But again, this team is offensively, they've got to, like, everybody keeps bringing up this last 40 seconds, and Zimmer should be fired for that. Like, they do have to get aggressive. They do have to use, these guys and go after them the same way as if you're trying to win the game at the end of the game. Treat the last 2 minutes of the second half or first half the same way. Just go out like you're trying to win the half. Like, don't try to, be conservative, because I'm seeing a bunch of KFAN Vikes tweets, people saying, this is the same as a boxer, going into the ring thinking they're up by points and they're just going to, sit on it and try to win the game this way. Like, everybody's feeling the same way. So I don't know what or how that's going to change, but it does have to change.
651-989-5326 or 1-800-320-5326. A couple more segments of Minnesota Vikings fan line before we toss it over to Vikings Overtime and see what they think about Zimmer's performance, the Vikings performance. The Vikings win 19-17 over the Lions. This is Minnesota Vikings fan line on KFAN and the Fan. Vikings fan line. I'm Cory Cove from the Power Trip Morning Show. There's Ron Johnson, former Gopher, former Raven, former NFL wide receiver. Hi, Ron.
How's it going, Cory?
What was the vibe at the U.S. Bank Stadium? Again, we talked about it earlier. I could hear the boos through the TV. It sounded like the fans were getting very frustrated with the offense and the play calling.
Well, I mean, early on, yes, it was fine. I think everybody was kind of in it, and then, it got stagnant, and you could tell fans were kind of over it. The end of the half was a stale kind of feeling in the air. Like, it didn't feel great going into half. And then the fans, I think, sat on their hands for the rest of the game pretty much because it wasn't much else going on until towards the end where that last, I think, 4 minutes got exciting. And, for the most part, like I said, that 37 seconds, I don't think a lot of fans had confidence that Kirk was going to get that done. Those 2 plays to Adam Thielen, I don't think a lot of people gave him credit that was going to happen. And then the kicker makes the kick. So it was a roller coaster. Like I said, it was a roller coaster.
Are you familiar with cornerback Bashaud Breeland?
As familiar as him being a Viking. That's about it.
You've heard the name, right?
I heard the name.
What's your last name?
Johnson.
Your last name's Johnson, right? Keep that in mind, okay?
Okay.
We have another semi-Cam Dantzler situation. About, I don't know, half an hour or so ago. Bashaud Breeland tweeted the following. I'm convinced y'all love my Ron's last name in y'all mouth. Enjoy this win and shut TF up. Yeah. So it has since been deleted. So my guess is whoever told Cam Dantzler to delete that tweet from about 2-3 weeks ago and move on with your life. At what point is Zim just going to, as long as he's the coach at least, at what point is Zim going to say, hey, no tweeting until you guys get home at least? Like, can you not tweet dumb things from the locker room? I mean, apparently some of these guys are just can't wait to get to their locker so they can just tweet out their displeasure about something. So Bashaud Breeland deleted that tweet, though.
Yeah, I mean, I've talked to some players that have deleted social media this year. I think some of these guys might need to follow in that path because it's a lot of negativity on that app. Period. Twitter, Instagram, but mainly Twitter. It's a vortex of negativity, especially towards Breeland because we know what's been happening. And then to pile it on, the Cam Dantzler tweet. So then of course people piled on talking about, yeah, Cam, you're right. You should be playing Breeland this, blah, blah, blah. And so that, these guys are human, so they unfortunately, just like Laquan Treadwell, they read their tweets. I don't know why. But they do, and they keep it with them, and I don't know if it fuels them, and they use that to the game. But yeah, that's just something. Definitely after a game like this, just let it go. Yeah. Like you make so much money, you have so much more to lose than some idiot fan tweeting something about you. Where you've made it to the upper echelon, you are the best of the best. You are a 1%er. There's not, there's 99% of the world can't do what you do. 99% of the world doesn't make the money that you make. don't worry about these people. Like that's sometimes you have to realize that. Like people are just negative. There's some dudes that are in their mother's basement in their underwear and they think this fun. Like they think it's fun to just tweet negative stuff. And Breland clearly let it get to him, and he's been probably holding on to that tweet for the longest. They won that game, and now he was like, well, I'm going to tweet it out because y'all was saying how bad I played, weeks before, and now look, I did okay today.
Okay. Yeah, better than bad, which is fun because we get to go in the air and say how bad they are. But we just don't directly tweet at them. I don't have time for that. I'm going to guess Bashad Breland is not the person you're going to name, but Ron, I need a hardest working player of the game thanks to our friends at Liuna. Liuna's hardest working player of the game is...
I'm torn, but I'm going to give it to Alexander Madison. I mean, he had a long day. I was going to say Everson Griffin because he was getting after the quarterback a bunch, but, Alexander Madison, again, we bring that up. We don't have a lot of opportunities to give it to him because when Dalvin's back, it's Dalvin's show, but Madison worked hard today.
My guess is if the game ends 17-16, you can't give it to the guy that fumbles away the game-winning touchdown to the Lions, right? But they found a way to win, so that saved probably Alexander Madison's shot at that.
Had the best, had the best run, stats of his career, 113 yards. So, hey, great day for him.
Let's go to Florida. Rob from Florida. Hi, Rob.
Hey, guys. First of all, I got 3 points to make, but I want to state that I'm Paul Allen's disciple, and I'm a purveyor of positivity.
Okay.
So going on forward for my 3 statements, does anyone want to recognize that we actually won this game? I mean, it was ugly, but we won. My second statement is running the ball at the end of the game was the right call because defense is played fairly well. We did not give up a touchdown. So running the ball, running the clock, punting, putting the defense in control, I feel was the right call. And that awkward moment with Kirk Cousins and Zimmer is not awkward at all, man. That is emotion. That is a fire in their bellies. They finally got to win. We've lost so many close games. Oh, come on, man. That was fire, man. That was
fire. Yeah, Ron, it was fire. Look,
Zim doesn't like being touched, so that's the first thing. You don't touch Zim.
Look, Ron.
And,
Ron.
I mean, honestly, let's be real, though. If you're not wearing your mask, don't get in my face.
Rob from Florida has every right to be as positive as he is and watch sports the way that he watches it. But, I mean, what was exciting or fire about that game? That was frustrating from start to finish, right? I mean, if you want to be...
he said it was ugly. It was an ugly game.
But if you want to be positive and be excited, this first point was like, look, we won. But again, my point is you could feel it that when they took the 17-16 lead, a lot of Vikings fans are like, you know what, screw it, blow it up, let's lose so this whole thing starts over. Maybe a regime change, maybe a front office change, like let's blow it up. So I don't think that's necessarily wrong either. If you want to say let's go, win every game despite how badly we play, that's fine. You can do that. A lot of other people are thinking 5-10 years down the road and saying the loss here may have been better long term. So you can be a Vikings fan and cheer either way.
Yeah.
So good luck, Rob.
Yep.
Which way were you cheering, Ron?
I'm hoping for the win.
Yeah, right. Okay. You can text me about it later.
Cory, we get paid more for playoffs, so.
You think I do. I'm off the next 3 fan lines. Nordo's taking my place the next 3, so you're on your own with Nordo.
Oh, it should be fun.
Yeah, it should be fun. Ron, thanks for your time, man.
No, apprient it.
All right.
Wait, so you're off the bye week, then the following 3 weeks after that, or are you just saying the bye week?
No. I'm out next week. Out of town next week, then the bye week, and then Halloween I'm off, and then I'm off the week after that. So I don't have fan line for like another month. I missed the next 3. So it's going to be
dressing up for Halloween.
Yeah, Rob from Florida. Just going to walk around saying nice things about very close wins as 10-point favorites.
In a black hoodie.
Yeah, probably. Vikings overtime is next. Thanks, Ron. Talk to you, man.
No, appreciate it. Thank you.
651-989-5326 or 1-800-320-5326. If you're still pissed, give the guys a call. My guess is you probably are, unless you're Rob from Florida. This is Minnesota Vikings Fan Line on KFAN and the Fan Radio.